So y'all couldn't even hear me. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Lit Lane Jury Box. I am Demetra Lit all day, or as I like to call myself when I'm in my official capacity, Judge D Lit. Let me say hello. I am streaming simultaneously on both of my channels. I'm on my Trial Watch with Demetra. Please check out that channel. I'm also on my Demetra Lit All Day channel. We're doing a simultaneous broadcast. Good morning, M. Renee. M. Renee, we will tomorrow, we will be covering, we will look at the full sentencing trial hearing for Ellen, what's her name was? For that lady who did the mercy killing on her husband. We're going to go back and watch the testimonies from the workers at the hospital tomorrow. Okay. What's up, VA Sage? What's up, VA Sage? That's what you meant yesterday, M. Renee, and I didn't remember what you was talking about. Hello, the cynical one. Thank you for joining, y'all. Please double tap the screen. We on vertical today. Hey, Candy Cane. Candy Cane, I got to get to your stories. We are getting it in. I was supposed to actually go do and take care of some not critical business, but I was supposed to go take care of some ripping and running today. And I said, no, I have to just put it off to the weekend because y'all know for the beginning of the month, I like to hit the ground running. I like to go the first week or so of the month. That's the best way for me to do. And I didn't want to just miss already. Right, we didn't watch the testimonies. I didn't know they were going to be so interesting. So we're going to watch the testimonies tomorrow for the Ellen Gillen sentencing hearing that we watched Monday. Okay. All right. So y'all just be patient with me. Just know that don't forget, Trial Watch Demetra is still a new channel, new content. We are still feeling our way, trying to see what works, what don't work, what format, what content. It is all we are. I know it feels like we've been doing it, but it's still a new channel for us. Okay. So today we got action. We shelved hey, Kurt Vixen, good morning, good afternoon. Depends on where you at. Y'all please double tap the screen. Hey, Barry Caring. So y'all may remember last month we started trying to follow Monica Sementilli, California versus Monica Sementilli trial. The love affair trial, as they call it on Court TV. And this was also a matter that was on 48. It was on the 48 Hours. It was on Dateline, where Monica Sementilli she's on trial now for conspiracy to commit murder on her husband, Fabio Sementilli. He was a famous or well-known prominent hairstyler that went into the CEO business for hairstyling out there in California. So they had plenty of money, plenty of prominence, plenty of stature and prestige in their communities. Everything seemingly going well. And boom, her husband come up killed on their patio. Okay, come to find out, Monica, the wife, had been having an affair for quite a bit of time with her racquetball coach, some ne'er do well. Okay, Baker. So she cavorting, she going by the name Madonna. She having threesomes, she's swinging, she's sending nudie pictures. She's doing all this with this man behind her husband back, but that wasn't good enough. She falls in love with the man and decides that she wants the money, the prestige, her position in her community. She just don't want the husband. So the state of California is alleging that she did a murder for hire and they killed her husband. Now I don't have my I should have put up the picture with the different players. Dang, y'all, hold on. Let me find that picture with the different players. So anyway, the state of California, they did a long, in-depth surveillance, all kind of investigation on this for months and months and months. And so the trial was very boring from the beginning, very drawn out, very redundant. So we stopped watching it. And I told you guys that I would stay tuned in for when it get interesting. Okay, here go a picture right here I can put up with the players. So let me, for the guys that's not familiar, real quick. Boom. Okay. So this okay, so it's still 13 of y'all here. I'm glad y'all didn't leave. And he keep going back there. I gotta put. Okay, so it's still 13 of y'all. Thank y'all for waiting. Oh my God. And he keep going back there. I gotta watch him because there's nothing I can put to cover up where my modem is at. Sorry, y'all. If you're new to the channel, I had a puppy. His name is Apollo, and he is a little rascal. Okay. Okay. So where were we? So I was saying the players. I apologize again for that, but we can keep on going. Thank y'all so much for being patient with me. Okay. So I was on telling you guys the key players, right? So Monica and Robert, the lover, they're in on it together. Okay. The one to the right is the deceased, unalived Fabio Sementilli, the husband, who they trying to get out the way. Hey, living. Now, this is why I came live today. This is why I said we got action. If you was here when we started watching this trial last month, I automatically called Christopher Austin down at the right-hand corner, the black brother with the big weird eyes. I called him and labeled him the flunky. Okay? Because Monica and her lover, Robert, they concocted the plan to get rid of the husband, Fabio. They was the one who was going to benefit. They pulled in Christopher Austin. You can't tell me they didn't call him in to play the part of the flunky. They roped him into this, didn't pay him no money, had him come and do this on a layaway plan. And I just am convinced, I've been convinced since I heard from the opening statements, that they simply involved him to be the fall guy, to be the one who, if they get caught, be the one who gets sent up the river. They didn't know all of them was going to get in trouble. Now, Christopher Austin took the stand yesterday, and I said, we got action. I want to see, and mind you, I told y'all when I saw his picture and everything, I told y'all by the look of his eyes, I think he kind of slow. No offense to the slow people. Okay? Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I can tell it by his eyes. And so y'all be the judge. Winter said you're going to have to try and raise so he don't reach, because part of him growing is the chewing phase. So you don't want him chewing on the wires. Tell me about it. And I keep buying him teething toys. Look, he upset because I was fussing at him. I didn't spank him or nothing. But I do have to do something. I'm going to get my honey to see what he can do. You know, I get my honey. Let me take this off of here. Let me take this down. So I'm real interested to see what his testimony is. Mind you, this man, when they first brought him into the city, because he was living in Alaska, when they brought him in to first do the hit on the husband, Fabio, he couldn't even do it. He got scared. He got scared, didn't do it, came back to the car. And so when they actually went to the house to try to kill Fabio Sementilli again, Robert Baker, he was supposed to keep his hands clean. Robert Baker they was thinking they would get Christopher to do it and keep their hands clean. But the flunky they hired didn't have the stomach to do the crime. And so that's why Robert Baker, the lover, had to go in and do the dirty work and kill a man. And Christopher Austin ended up being the lookout. And that's why under Robert Baker and Christopher Austin pictures, y'all see convicted. They already in jail, in prison. So without any more recapping, let's get into this, because I waited for y'all so I can see what he had to say for himself. And mind you, he got the most time. No, he don't. He don't have the most time. I gotta look back at my notes. Nah, because he started singing like a canary. Hey, kind of me. So he didn't turn to state witness, one of the hired hands on a Monica Sementilli murder trial. We got action.
This courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And that plea was negotiated with the prosecution.
For being here.
There go Monica.
Very impressive, very impressive. We're going to
Hey, the Big Sector Podcast.
Detective Roberts, allow the people to call a witness out of order. You may call your witness.
Thank you. Do people call Christopher Austin?
The flunky.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Austin, if you can face me and raise your right hand if you can. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give
He the flunky girl
before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Damn, they kept his handcuffs
And for
on.
the record, can you say and spell your first and last name, please?
Christopher Austin, CHRISTOPHER. Austin, AUSTIN.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Austin, on October 2nd, 2024, were you arrested in Vancouver, Washington for the murder and conspiracy to commit murder of Fabio Sementilli.
Yes.
Oh,
Were you
Lord.
then extradited or brought to Los Angeles court system on October 17th of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got to Los Angeles, then have you been represented by an attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is your attorney in court today with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And when I say with you, in the courtroom,
Yes, ma'am.
have you had opportunities since you've arrived in LA on October 17th to have multiple conversations with your attorney and seek his advisement as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Boy, they sure know how to pick them.
The attorney brought you clothes today to wear?
Yes, ma'am.
That was not provided by the prosecution, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
On January 17th of 2024, did you negotiate a plea with the prosecution team?
Move the date again, please.
January 17th, 2024, 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you negotiate a plea with the prosecution team to plead to a count of second-degree murder, which is a violation of Penal Code Section 187A, and that's the murder of Fabio Sementilli, as well as admitted that you personally used a knife pursuant to Penal Code Section 12022B1?
Yes, ma'am.
And you entered that plea in this courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And that plea was negotiated with the prosecution, and your sentence then, if you testify truthfully, and we'll go through some terms of that in a bit, you understand your sentence to be 15 years to life in prison. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently serving time right now in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
So were you
Oh, he gonna have to
transported here then from a
speak
county
up.
jail facility while you're awaiting transport to start your sentence for prison?
That is correct.
Did you also sign a document with the prosecution and your attorney on January 31st of 2025 with some terms of the requirement that you testify truthfully?
Yes.
I may mark as People's 247 a document entitled It's an agreement then that you will testify truthfully, honestly, and that includes not omitting any facts. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And 247 of this agreement, it's entitled, and mark it as 247 agreement between the people of the state of California and Christopher Austin.
Now it's marked, yes.
Thank you. Okay, do you recognize this agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, going through this, it states the terms that you agree to cooperate fully in the investigation and prosecution of the case involving the murder of Fabio Sementilli by truthfully providing all information which you know or come to know. Is that correct?
Yes.
Page 2, and I won't go through all of them, but it's documented here that the requirement is that you tell the truth.
I mean, he wasn't acting scared. He was scared, girl. He was scared to kill a man.
Yes, ma'am.
And at the end of your testimony,
He's
then,
slow.
It's up to the judge to decide if you testified truthfully or not, and that held
He
your
didn't
end
get
of the
paid.
bargain, basically, to get that. And I spoke incorrectly. It's 16 to life sentence. Is that correct?
That is correct.
He didn't get
If
paid.
it's determined that you did not
Hey, this
testify
summer, baby.
truthfully by the court, then you understand that that agreement is off the table, basically, and you can be sentenced to the maximum sentence in this case for a first-degree murder. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Damn, she getting older by every day this trial keep going on, huh?
Let's start about a little bit about your background then. How old are you right now?
39.
And what is your date of birth?
Yeah, he was supposed to be the fall guy.
What is your height and weight?
5'7".
They were setting him up.
Are you right or left-handed?
Right.
Can you explain then your employment prior to your arrest on October 2nd of 2024? What did you do for a living?
I worked with high-risk youth, and my title was Juvenile Parole and Probation Officer for the state of Oregon.
So how did they get you to
What
do
did you
this shit?
Specifically working with high-risk youth.
Monitor, supervise, hold them accountable, mentor, find them programs if they needed to if they needed to have programs, try to reunite them with their family, give them coping
Unbelievable.
skills, find them resources, help them get jobs, help them find housing, whatever I could do to help them stay out of the system.
How long had you been working for the state of Oregon prior to your arrest?
4 years.
And what did you do before that?
I worked for the state of I worked for DHS as an IDD home, intellectual disability for adults.
What is DHS?
Department of Human Services.
And what did you do for them then?
I'm sorry, but this blows me. This blows me. Y'all hear me calling him slow. Y'all hear me saying he the flunky, which he's still a flunky. But how he a mentor, how he working these, respectable jobs, how he mentoring people and trying to get them on a right path. And he let these people rope him into this. And he didn't even get paid. He didn't get paid. He didn't get a down payment. Nothing. And he got a wife and children. Now he in prison. How the fuck does this type of stuff happen? How does this happen? Wow. Amazing. Yeah, he's slow still.
Typically, I was assigned to a particular client, made sure that they got their medications by the five rights, took them out for outings, housed them, we go to the grocery store and we teach them how to shop. And then I take them back to the house and cook, and then we'd all eat together. Sometimes we play cards, video games. When they were stressed, I made sure that we took another walk if that's what they wanted to do.
This don't make no
sense. How
sense.
long had you been working there prior to the time that you spent working?
They didn't pay you nothing.
Juvenile Probation Department.
3 months.
Prior to your arrest on October 2nd, 2024, did you have any prior convictions?
No, ma'am.
And where were you born and grew up?
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Do you still have family in North Carolina?
Yes.
I didn't got married.
At the time of the arrest, are you married or are you married?
Yes.
Who are you married to?
Chloe Austin.
Does she currently reside then in the state of Washington or Oregon?
Washington.
And did you have a daughter?
Yes.
He's shamed.
Yes.
How old
That's
is she?
pitiful.
3.
Pitiful. Pitiful.
People's 14 up on the screen.
That's shame, remorse, regret all
You
over his
recognize that
face.
person?
Idiot.
Yes.
Who is that?
Robert Baker.
Have you known Robert Baker a long time?
Let's see how we know him.
What's your background on when you first met him?
Probably in middle school when I met him officially.
Was that in
Maybe
North
before.
Carolina? Sorry.
Maybe before.
Was that in North Carolina?
Yes.
So this is how they knew
And
him
how
kind
did
of
you
me.
meet him in middle school?
My dad.
Can you
I don't
explain
eat the
that?
conviction.
They grew up together in the same neighborhood I grew up in. So he would come in from time to time, say hello, meet with my dad, hang out, then leave.
So he was one of your dad's good friends?
Yes.
And then did you become friends with him in your adulthood?
Before that, but yes.
Did you have a term that you referred to him as?
Yes.
What is that?
Called him Unc, short for uncle.
Were you aware that Robert Baker was arrested with Monica Sementilli on June 14th of 2017 for murder?
Never mind, I strike that.
I'm usually wrong.
Yes.
How did you find out?
How did I find out? Oh, I got a phone call.
From who?
Birdsong.
Okay, we might be waiting for some answers.
213, is that who you know to be Birdsong?
Yes.
Alfred Birdsong?
Yes.
Do you have a name that you refer to him as?
I called him Unc too.
You call him Unc
Yes.
also. That term Unc, does it have any particular meaning?
It's like family. Anybody that takes care of you.
Did you consider, first of all, did you consider Baker family?
Yes.
Did you consider Birdsong family?
Yes.
And we'll get into Birdsong.
I'm sorry, I held this for the last 3 minutes, but y'all know this is my live reaction. I'm going to react. At this moment in time, what's been going through my mind ever since he said what the relationship is with Robert Baker. He was his dad's friend. He came around. They formed a relationship. He looked at him like a member of the family or like an unc position. Ever since he said that, I immediately started thinking about the Who Shot the Sheriff case, right? With the sheriff, and I'm thinking about different situations where these young black men that obvious, but he had a daddy. But anywho, these young black men looking up to people and putting them in a position of father figures, big brothers. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be really careful of who you let be over them. It seemed like you want to put a man right there so they can be around them kids and help them grow into young men. But then at the same time, you put them in a position of power and influence. And if they go the wrong way, they use that influence in a negative type of way. Kind of me say exactly. It's almost like grooming them. And not for a sexual thing, but just for the influence. I hope that his wife divorces him and never ever speaks to him again for being such a dumbass. Well, you said dummy. And keeps the kids from seeing him too. Don't want any dumbness to invade their bodies. Exactly. I'm telling y'all, I'm so mad. It's just ridiculous. It's hard for me to grasp this because I'm such a strong personality. You can never talk me into anything. Right, because he was a grown-ass man. A grown-ass man with a wife, with a daughter, with a career. Child, let's see what Robert told him. Let's see what would convince him to put his freedom on the line, his family on the line for these people. And mind you, don't even get paid. He didn't even get a down payment. He didn't even get nothing. He got a promise of money in the future after the crime done. How many times have we heard that? People crazy.
In a little bit, but
live reaction.
After Robert Baker was arrested, did you ever talk to Baker while he
exactly
was
put
in
soldier
custody?
I might have. I don't really remember talking to him. I remember talking to him prior.
How much prior?
A few times.
A couple times prior to the arrest?
Yes.
But after he was arrested, you don't recall whether you talked to him at all?
No.
What about, did you ever visit him in jail?
No.
So the last time that you would have talked to Baker, do you know when the last time was you talked to Baker?
When he dropped me off at the bus station.
Is that when you were in Los Angeles in January of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the last time you saw him?
Yes, ma'am.
But that's not
exactly,
the last time you
Kathy.
talked to him?
No, I don't think so, no.
Okay, we'll get into that.
We're going to come back to that
I
comment,
want to go
Kathy.
back to the years of when you first started working or met with Baker back in around 2006. Did you work with Baker?
Yes.
Can you explain what you did with him as far as work?
I drove him around, went with him to meetings, deposited checks, moved, whatever he needed me to do.
What year time frame did this span?
06 to 08, maybe. Yeah.
So,
And in between sometimes.
how old were you at that time?
19.
And is Rob older than you then?
Yes.
How much older?
Same age as my dad, I guess. I'm not a math guy. 30.
Oh, I'm
plus years
sorry.
older
Yeah.
than me.
Okay. So did you work for him then approximately 3 years?
Yes.
When you, the jobs that you described, were you more or less an assistant for him?
Yes.
What kind of industry was he working in?
So he used to be in the
Adult
flunky.
industry, adult film industry.
Is that like porn business?
Yes.
Okay. When you worked for him during the years of 2006 to 2008, what city did you work in? Were you in Los Angeles or another city?
Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks.
Okay. And did you ever live with Baker?
Yes.
When did you live with him?
The whole time I lived here.
And what is the whole time that you lived here? What does that span?
From the time I landed in 06 to the time I left in 2008.
Where did you live?
I remember we lived in Las Vegas.
No, he's older than 3 years older than him. He's the same age with his daddy, Kathy.
and
No, B.A. Sands.
Los Angeles and Sherman Oaks.
Did you live in 3 different residences with him?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about, where did you live first? Was it Los Angeles?
Wait.
It was Las Vegas.
Wait. What? Okay, he said driving around depositing checks. But I'm sorry, assistant to a porn star, a porn actor. All I can think is that he's saying he drove him around and went to the bank. But in my mind, assistant to a porn actor, you can't tell me he wasn't a fluffer. You can't tell me he wasn't a fluffer. You can't tell me he wasn't talking about you can do it, you can do it. Don't forget, if y'all new to my channel on Trial Watch with Demetra, check out my original true crime short story. It's under the videos. It's called Chopped and Screwed. You'll find it very interesting. Oh Lord, I can't.
I
I'm gonna
landed
try
in
to hold it
Vegas,
together.
and I
This
was
is
there
too
for a
much.
few months, and he had a house there. And then he went back to LA and said, "We're gonna go back to LA." And I was like, "Okay." And that was an apartment. And then
Please like this video,
we
double
moved to
tap
a
screen,
house off of
and
Catherine.
subscribe.
Okay.
Catherine.
In Las Vegas, did you just live with Baker?
No, he was married.
Who was he married to?
Nikki
You-
Baker.
I'm sorry?
Nikki Baker at the time. Yes.
And you lived in Las Vegas when you first got here in 06 with Baker and Nikki. And how long did you live in Vegas?
Few months.
While you were there, did you work as basically his assistant driving things you mentioned?
Yes.
Did the 3 of you then all move back to Los Angeles?
Yes.
During that stint or that time frame, did you know Alfred Birdsong?
No.
When you moved back to Los Angeles, the 3 of you, did you move into a house together again?
Yes.
And which house was that?
Catherine House.
On Catherine Street?
Yes.
Is that in Winnetka?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it?
Was it the Valley?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Diamond.
How long did you live in that house, the 3 of you?
About a year and a half.
Did the 3 of you then again move together to another house?
Yes.
And where was that one? That was
The Winnetka. That was Winnetka. The Winnetka house.
And how long did you live together until 2008 when you moved?
Yes.
All right. What was your relationship? I know you stated you considered him family, but can you describe your relationship with Robert Baker?
Yeah, when I moved there, I remember the first thing he said, "Welcome home," I guess it was a joke. But over time, he built a rapport with me as a friendship, got me to do like all kinds of stuff, driving, meeting all kinds of people, club owners, managers,
Women
business people. So I was just soaking it all in. I
in
didn't
the
know
sex
anything, so I
industry.
was
He
just
loved
really
it.
just soaking it all in.
Did
He
you
loved
trust
it.
him?
Absolutely.
The phone number that you used to reach Baker during this time frame, was it the 213-272-1093 number?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was how during that time frame you communicated with Robert Baker?
Yes.
Where did you move from? Did you move from North Carolina straight to Los Angeles?
Hey,
or
Bert.
Las Vegas?
North Carolina to Vegas.
Okay. When you came out here and Rob said to you, welcome home, or words to that effect, were you aware of his prior criminal record?
No.
Did you know that he was a sex registrant, meaning he had to register as a sex offender for a crime that he had committed, an assault on a minor?
Not until later.
When
So
later?
I didn't know that right away.
When did you find that out?
Probably toward the middle of 07.
Did you know that he had a probation officer
I found that out then too. Yes.
in 07?
Yes.
Did you know he had gone to state prison?
Yes.
That did you also find out in 07?
A little bit after the probation officer thing. Yes.
Okay. Up on the screen, Al Birdsong. I want to talk about when is the first time that you met him. Can you describe that?
I remember Baker saying that a buddy of mine's gonna come live with us, try to help with the business. You're gonna like him. And he moved in, took a liking to him immediately. He showed me around, taught me some things, and that's how that relationship developed.
Where were you living when you say that Alfred Birdsong moved in with you and Baker?
The Catherine House.
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
So at that time, was it you, Baker, Nikki, and Alfred Birdsong?
Yes.
How long did that last?
About 6 months to a year.
At some point then, did Alfred Birdsong move out?
Yes.
Where did he move, if you know?
Las Vegas.
Did he buy a house there, if you know?
I believe so.
Did you ever visit Alfred Birdsong in a house on Timberline in Las Vegas at a later date?
Yes.
Did you travel to Las Vegas then with Baker multiple times?
Yes.
When you would go there, did you stay at this house that Alfred Birdsong had on Timberline?
Yes.
Do you know about how many times you stayed there?
Maybe 5, a few times, however long I've come to visit.
So you went approximately 5 times?
About that.
That's fine. What years did that span when you would go with Robert Baker to Vegas and see Alfred Birdsong or stay at Alfred Birdsong's house?
We'd be there for like a couple of days, and then we go back. And then if I came back to Vegas, I would pop in and say hello, hang out for a little while, stay for a night, and then leave again. So probably about a handful of times.
What was the purpose of why you were going to Vegas? Was it work?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually.
I'm sorry?
Usually.
Work, and sometimes you just went to Las Vegas for fun?
Yes.
So,
Do you know what Alfred Birdsong did for a living?
Ooh, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself, Chris. Don't hurt yourself. Slow down.
Security of some sort. High-end security.
You can tell him anything.
I know he was former military. I forget his title. But it was up there.
I'm sorry?
But it was up there. I forget his title.
You know him to be former military.
Yes.
Did you know Rob Baker to be former military as well?
Yes.
I think they was in the Marines.
Did Baker ever talk to you and use the phrase protocol, those kind of words?
Every now and again, I would hear that.
Did you know what it meant?
Not at the time.
When you say not at the time, do you know what it means now?
Yes.
So ruled.
What does it mean to you?
Protocols, procedure, how things are supposed to go, how things are supposed to go.
How things are supposed to go
Yeah.
as in advanced planning?
Yes.
Did you know Birdsong to work for Homeland Security?
Yes.
You
Child.
didn't know what he did necessarily, specifically.
No, I didn't really ask.
Okay. Are you, well, up until your arrest, were you still in contact with Alfred Birdsong?
Yes.
How so?
Just phone call or text.
Do you know, does he still live in Las Vegas?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Do you know where he lives?
Texas.
So ruled.
Texas?
Texas.
Okay. The whole time.
Quick pause for the calls for anyone who may be coming in. We're watching the testimony now of the hired hitman, Chris Austin. This is Monica Sementilli murder trial happening in California. It's been going on for 24 days now. We haven't covered the trial intensely because it got very long and drawn out. However, Monica and Robert, lovers. Monica was married to Fabio across from her at the right. Money, prestige, prominence, money. Monica was no longer satisfied just having sex and all type of fornication with Robert Baker. She wanted to be with him full time. Robert Baker and Monica hatched the plan to take out Fabio, the husband. They roped in Christopher Austin to do the deed. As y'all can tell, he not the sharpest pencil in the box, okay? When they brought him out there to do the deed and unalive Fabio Sementilli on his first attempt, he got scared and chickened out. On the second attempt, when they actually unalived the husband, Mr. Sementilli, Robert Baker did most of the heavy lifting, the actual unaliving and the actual act. Robert Baker probably never thought he was going to be involved. I'm convinced they was going to just let Christopher Austin do all the dirty work and leave him holding the bag and set him up if they get caught. But Christopher Austin could not do it by himself. That's how the boyfriend, Robert Baker, ended up going in their house, ending up unaliving Fabio. Okay? So this is a love affair murder trial happening in California. The one that Christopher Austin that's on the stand, he has already been convicted. He testified now for the state because he started singing like a bird. Robert Baker, the lover, the boyfriend, he's still in prison. He convicted, confessing his love for Monica. I cannot wait until he testifies. Monica, the wife, is actually the one right now who's on trial for conspiracy to commit murder.
Time that you said
fair use
phone and text, is that correct?
Yes.
So you talked to him live on the phone and you text him?
Yes.
Does he still have his same 702 number?
I believe so.
And that was the number you contacted on, 702?
Exactly, Diamond.
Okay. Did you, well, let me ask you this. At 2008 then, did you, when you left LA, where did you move?
Thinking too hard.
Anchorage, Alaska.
Why did you move to Anchorage, Alaska?
Change of scenery, help my brother.
Why did you need to help your brother?
Well, he needed some help with my nephews, so that's what I did.
Did anything happen between you and Robert Baker that caused you to move to Anchorage?
No, I don't think so.
That sounds like
So
they
your
were
relationship
lovers.
was fine when you left.
Yeah, I would say yes.
When you moved to Anchorage
weird
then
as
in
fuck.
2000, well, what year was that? I'll let you answer. Was that 2008?
Yes.
Did you maintain contact with Baker?
Yes.
Did you talk to him on the phone?
Yes.
Did you text with him?
Yes.
That same number we already talked about?
Yes.
Did you ever come to visit him in Los Angeles?
Yes.
When you came to visit him in Los Angeles, did you ever go then on a road trip to Las Vegas?
Yes.
When you moved to Alaska, did you get married in Alaska?
No.
When did you get married?
November 21.
And in November 2021, that's when you married Chloe?
Yes.
Did Chloe live in
Okay,
Alaska
Miss Steph
with
219.
you at some point?
Yes.
What years
Happy
did she
hump
live
day.
with you in Alaska?
— 2017 until we moved.
Oh, he gonna have to stop
At some
whispering.
point, you moved from Alaska to
I
Washington.
can't
right?
stand no
Yes.
mumble mouth man. Woo! I can't.
Your cell phone then, were you using a regular cell phone then? And by regular, I mean not a burner phone, anything of that nature, just a regular cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Was your number 907? On October 2nd,
I try not to smoke on camera. You praying?
when you were arrested on October 2nd of 2024, then can you?
I'm thinking it was something
can you
funny going on
explain
between
how
them
that
two.
occurred?
Too much attachment.
I was on my way to work. When I got pulled over. I was being followed too close. And I tried to get out of their way, but when they got right behind me, I felt like I was getting ready to get pulled over. And I was like, well, maybe I was driving a little faster than I should have been. And then they pulled me over. I went through their necessary procedures. Told me I had a warrant for my arrest. I was a little shocked. And then they pulled me out of the car, handcuffed me,
15 to
put me in
life.
the back of the patrol car.
When they pulled you
15 to
over and
life
said
right
you
now.
had a warrant for your arrest at that point, did anyone tell you what that warrant was for specifically?
No,
Did you know what it was for?
I had an idea.
I bet
What
you
was your
did.
idea?
This situation that we're here today.
So it had been some years. When you say the situation, you're referring to the killing of Fabio Sementilli?
Yes.
Okay. In the intervening years, though, had anything, you ever had any problems with law enforcement from January of 2017 until the time that you were pulled over on October 2nd of 2024?
No, ma'am.
After they arrested you, they put you in a patrol car, and did they take you to the Washington or the Vancouver Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
When you got there, then were you given the opportunity to speak to some detectives?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they right here in court, Detective Byers and Farrell?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they put you into then a cell, locked into a cell with another person inside?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that person appear to you to be an inmate, or I should say somebody that, when I say inmate, somebody that also is in custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he
They
introduce
put a
himself
plant
as
in his
Willie
cell.
Boyd?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you kind of tell us what occurred when you first got into the cell, how you met this individual inside?
He kept talking to me. I didn't want to talk to nobody.
And what was he?
He puts a bass in his voice about that.
His situation, talked about how cold it was in there, asked me what I was in for. I didn't want to talk to nobody.
But he made you talk to him.
And what's going through your head at this time?
Leave me alone.
A lot of shame.
I can tell.
Lots of shame. But I also don't know.
Don't make no damn sense.
Divorce. lost a job, disappointment from my mentees, how many people I hurt.
He ready for the parole board.
It's a lot. A lot to process.
Okay. And
And she don't give a damn.
as you're absorbing this, somebody's trying to talk to you. So, did you know at that time that it was an undercover person that was placed there by the detectives?
No, not at the time.
At some point then, did Detective Farrell come to the door of the cell that you're in and tell you for the first time that it was a warrant for a homicide out of Los Angeles?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know what he was talking about at that time then?
Everything kind of started coming back to me. I had forgotten a lot up until that point.
Do you remember what Detective Farrell told you at the very beginning?
It's a damn shame. This is pathetic.
Mr. Austin, look, you seem like a nice guy. You know why you're here. It's very important that you be very honest with us.
What in the man-child
And
going
I
on?
remember him showing me the pictures. He said, we know you were there, so you need to be honest with us.
What pictures did he show you?
He showed me pictures of
Hey,
Mr.
Linda B.
Baker and myself jogging and black Porsche.
You recognized yourself in the photo jogging?
I did.
Exhibit 19, I'm not saying this exhibit, but is that the photo or
Welcome back, ladies, Steph.
photo that Detective Farrell showed you?
Yes, ma'am.
The person in the front right here in the green, who is that?
That's Mr. Baker.
And the person in the back with the hood, the darker hood, who is that?
That is myself.
So when he showed you that photograph, you recognized it?
Yeah.
How did you recognize that? From what?
Oh, I recognize it from the green sweatshirt first. And then all of LA has red curves. So that's what I recognize from it, about it.
Well, did you recognize it from being in a particular location?
Yes.
Where was this?
Los Angeles?
Okay, I guess my question is, tell us at this point, what are you guys doing right here?
We are on the way up to jog to the victim's house.
And do you have a knife at this point?
Child, he keeps saying jog like they was
To your
exercising.
knowledge, does Baker have a knife at this point?
He did.
And what were you going up to the victim's house to do at this time?
So
I think I got a
to,
picture of this.
he's on our way up to her, to kill him. To kill him.
Kill him?
Not even a cry.
Yes.
We'll go through that in a moment. Exhibit 19 also, this is page 9 in the corner. The first one was page 7 in the corner on exhibit 19. This Porsche, is this a photo that Detective Farrell showed you as well when you said Porsche?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's depicted here? Did you ride in that Porsche?
Yes, ma'am.
Seeing that photo right there, are you in that car at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you seated?
In the passenger seat with my head down.
Who was driving the car?
Mr. Baker.
Oh, it's too small.
When is this in time? What's happening here?
He's driving away.
Away from what?
I remember.
Hey, Silverline. Welcome back to the jury box. Fanlit Lane.
He's driving away from a murder scene.
This is when you both left?
Yes.
After Detective Farrell showed you those photographs, then did you remain in the cell to think about what he had just shown you?
Where else
Yes.
he gonna go?
Did you then talk to your cellmate at that point about anything?
A little bit.
What did you tell him? Or what did you say?
He asked me. He started asking me a barrage of questions, and then he asked me was I was there, and I was like, yeah, I was there. And then he encouraged me to tell him the truth. And he asked me if I had a record. I was like, no. And then I remember saying none of that matters. None of the work that I did matters.
Oh, they need to put him on suicide watch.
Did he
For
ask
real?
you if you recall about any of the other people involved in this?
Yeah, he asked me, but I didn't want to say too much because I didn't know I didn't know why he was asking me so many questions. He was trying to be my friend or something like this. It's not a situation we need to be friends about. I remember saying that.
No, he probably was your best friend. He got you a deal.
I remember saying I was there, and
What a time to be able to pick your
who was the other
friends.
dude. Told him who he was.
Who did you tell him it was?
Mr. Baker.
Well, do you know if you used that name at the time?
I used I told him my uncle. He's like, that's your uncle? I was like, well, not biological, but.
So at this point, Detective Farrell has only come to the jail or the cell door, showed you these photographs, and now things are racing through your head, right?
Yes.
You have not had a chance to sit down and interview with the detectives at this point, right?
No.
So up until this point with your cellmate, you've admitted that you were involved in it, but that's the extent of it.
Yes.
So that was perfect work from the detective. That's excellent. And the plant. He wasn't saying much. They sent the detective to loosen him up, to grease the pipe, right? I don't know if that's the right analogy or what have you, but it worked. Go put this on his mind. Go let him know. Let's go get him worked up, emotional, and then boom. Now the plant might be able to get him to talk and loosen up. You know what I'm saying? And it worked. It worked.
And you're talking about you didn't want to talk too much at this point. Why did you feel you didn't want to talk too much at this point?
Because I felt like the detectives were about to ask me a bunch of questions that I had to try to figure out how to remember after so long.
So once
I didn't
you
want to
saw,
talk to him too much anymore.
I'm sorry,
I didn't want to talk to him anymore.
your cellmate.
Yes.
So then at some point, did Detective Farrell come and actually take you out of the cell and take you into an interview room with him and Detective Byers?
That is correct.
Do you know if that was recorded?
Yes, I believe it was.
Did you end up waiving, or did they advise you of your Miranda rights?
They did.
And did you agree to talk to them?
I did.
Why did you want to talk to them?
It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I feel like you come pick me up on my way to work. You know something, so there's no point in playing around with them anymore.
Okay. Did they ask you first? I'm gonna give you some topics. Did they ask you anything about burner phones?
They did.
And what did you tell them?
I told them I had one.
Okay, Living.
At one point.
When did you have a burner phone?
In 2017.
And did you also go through then the facts of what occurred that day on January 23rd, 2017?
You did.
They asked you a lot of questions, you answered.
I did.
Did you tell them the whole truth during that interview?
Not entirely.
What was not the truth?
Just the details of it.
Why didn't you tell them everything at that point?
Because I
Yeah,
felt
man,
like
put
I
your
needed to-
please
I felt
like thing
I
with
said
the
too
judge
much.
back in
I
there,
needed an
please,
attorney.
before you start dropping, if you can,
So at a certain point, you interviewed with them for a while, right?
so
I
I can
did.
start.
Did you tell them that you were actually involved in the actual killing of Fabio Sementilli?
I did.
Did you tell them what your role was as far as participating in the crime?
I did.
What did you tell them?
I told him I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that I hoped. I told him that I stabbed him once. That I stabbed him once. That's what I told him.
So you admitted your role in the crime, and then
This is hard.
at
This
this
is
point, you didn't give
big.
every detail. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you put back in the cell then with that undercover agent?
I was.
And did you start talking to him now?
Yeah.
Why did you start talking to him now?
I told it. Because I told the detectives the truth. And then I started just thinking about my life.
Too late for that, buddy.
Not being able to. I started thinking about just all the harm that I caused the family. I was in disbelief. I was frustrated, and I just wanted to talk about something different.
When you're talking to this person now, when you've been back in the cell after you interview with the detectives, at any point did you realize he was an undercover
Thank you,
agent
Winter.
put in there by the detectives?
Not till they took me to jail.
Now you
I
thinking.
replayed everything. And that's when I realized he was undercover, or might have been. He left shortly after. That's when I realized.
While you were in the cell with him then, were you
No, Winter, I can
after the
flash it.
interview then, did you feel comfortable then talking to him a little bit more since you had now interviewed with the detectives?
Oh,
Comfortable is a strong word. I just felt the need to just talk to somebody. Just
Not
someone
yet,
easy
lady
to have a
self.
conversation.
Not yet.
Did he ask you about, and again, is he asking you questions about the crime?
Yeah.
Did he ask you how the victim died?
Yeah.
What'd you tell him?
I told him what I told the detectives,
What is that?
that he was stabbed.
Did he ask you if you stabbed him?
He did.
What'd you tell him?
Once.
Did he ask you who stabbed him the rest of the times?
Yeah.
What'd you tell him?
I told him Baker stabbed him.
It's pitiful.
Now, did you tell him what the plan was from the beginning?
Here you go, lady self.
I believe so.
What did you tell him?
I believe he was told to I was told that you're supposed to go rough him up, but that didn't happen.
Okay. But was that the plan?
Why?
No.
What was the plan?
Plan was to have him killed.
Why? Why did
When
they tell
you
you
told
that?
your cellmate the plan was to go rough him up, then why didn't you tell your cellmate what the real plan was? Why did you lighten the story, let's say?
Well, a total stranger be telling my skeletons to. They want to.
Did you tell them who was involved, the cellmate? Did you tell him who was involved in it, or did he ask you who was involved in this?
He asked. I remember him asking a lot of questions.
Okay. What did you tell him?
Told him Baker and the woman he was messing with.
Madonna.
The woman he was messing with, do you see her in court?
Yes.
Can you please identify where she's sitting and what she's wearing?
To my far right, white blouse, gray suit.
Indicating the defendant.
And we'll get to the defendant in a moment, but you told him the woman he was messing with and him planned it. What else did you tell him about that?
I told him.
I don't know, counsel.
In the cell with the Perkins agent, the undercover agent. What else did you tell him?
Exactly. Winter says, first, Diamond said, why is he having such a difficult time telling his fucking story? Because he know he a flunky. He know he fucked up. He know he got used. He know that he didn't use his common sense. He know that he looked dumb. He feel dumb. You know, Winter says, oh my God, how did they even think to use his soft ass to even commit a crime, especially murder? Exactly. That's what I'm sitting here, and when y'all see me just looking and shaking my head, I keep asking myself, why did this man go against his own moral code? You literally can tell that this went against what he thought and what he knew to be right or wrong. So what made this grown ass man go against what he knew what to be the right thing or the wrong thing? How can this grown ass big age man fall into peer pressure? It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. I need to see him say that he had a conversation with Monica. Otherwise, for me, it's hearsay. True. But that's not. I get what you're saying, Lady Step Up. But conspiracy to commit murder, she didn't have to conspire directly with him. As long as she conspired with Robert Baker and he pulls him in, it's still, you know what I'm saying, conspiracy. No, hold on. Okay, let me push play. But this is ridiculous. Chasing that white cat, and he wasn't even getting none.
Told him some money is supposed to be involved. She was supposed to get a lot of money if we did it. Excuse me. Sorry.
Did you specifically mention at this time to that undercover agent that it was actually insurance money?
I did.
I'm sorry?
I did.
How did you know about that?
Baker told me about it.
What did Baker tell you about it?
Baker told me she's loaded. She wants him gone. She's going to get paid.
The detectives, they never asked you about insurance money, right? During the first interview.
Sustained.
Did the detectives ever ask you about insurance money during the first interview?
No.
So this was something that you freely volunteered to the undercover agent the day you were arrested?
Yes.
It's a rule.
Did the agent say to you, to me, it sounded like it's the bitch who planned everything? Do you remember him saying that to you?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
She knew about it. She did.
When did you find out about the insurance money? Baker told you about it. When did you find out about it?
After. or before.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. That's after and before?
It's after, before.
Was that before you came to Los Angeles to commit the murder?
Yes.
Do you recall how it happened? How you found out?
It was a phone call. It was a phone call. I remember Baker saying she's going to come into some money.
Layaway
I
playing.
need to come down earlier, and I couldn't. I was like, I was working, so I couldn't do it. I was trying to avoid it, so I didn't think he would worry about it anymore.
What year and month was this, if you remember?
Peer pressure
This
at 100 years old. Ridiculous.
Maybe December, around the December time.
Of 2016?
2016.
All right. While you're in this cell, then you talked about money. Did you tell the agent if you were promised any money or any reward for doing this?
Murder for layaway. Murder for
Did you ever
IOU.
talk about receiving any gold coins?
Well,
I think I told him he gave me some coins.
Who gave you coins?
Baker gave me coins.
Was that gold coins?
That is correct.
When did he give them to you?
Oh, he got some gold coins. How much they was worth?
He gave them to me just before I got out at the bus station.
After the murder, but before you flew home?
Yes.
Before he rode the bus home.
And then again, this is still while you're in the cell with the undercover agent. Did you tell him then that you left right after?
Yes.
What did you tell him about leaving the scene? And this is what you recall telling the agent about leaving the scene after the murder had been committed.
I remember telling him it happened, and I had to get up out of there. And Baker dropped me off at the the bus station to catch it right back to the airport, and I flew back.
And did you tell this undercover agent that when you left after the murder, you left in that Porsche?
Yeah. We left in the Porsche.
We're going to go back through this, but I want to ask you some specific questions then about the defendant who you identified in court.
If you don't raise his big old head up.
When you first met her?
Oh, I can't stand no lame ass man. I can't. He making my stomach hurt.
Not really. We might have met in Vegas, but not. I don't remember seeing her there. I do remember playing racquetball with her though.
Did you go? Go ahead. Did I cut you off?
Mm-mm.
Did you go to Las Vegas in July of 2016 with Robert Baker?
I did.
That particular trip, did you stay with Baker at Al Birdsong's house?
Yes.
When you went there, did you know that Baker had a female, whether you knew her name or not, that he was seeing, dating, had a relationship with?
Not really. Yes. Meaning he's been involved with a lot of women, so I would say yes all the time.
But specifically when
They
you
should
went
put
to
the
Las
camera on
Vegas
her.
in July of 2016, did he mention anyone in particular that he had been seeing?
He mentioned he was seeing somebody.
At that time,
Okay, Miss
I
Phelps.
forgot her name at that point.
did he ever use the name Monica?
Yeah.
Is that who he said he was seeing at that time?
It's pitiful.
Now, during that trip, did you know, and I know it was 2016, did you know that this Monica person was in Las Vegas at the same time you were there with Baker staying at Birdsong's house?
No.
total.
And to the best of your knowledge, then, do you know if you met her in Vegas or not?
I might have. I don't remember.
When you say you might have, did you go out with Baker to different places and meet people?
Yes.
Did you ever go to the Aria Hotel?
Yes.
Why did you go to the Aria Hotel?
Don't remember where we went, but I know food was involved.
Excuse me a second. So ruled.
Go ahead. Why did you go to the Aria Hotel?
I don't remember why we went, but I know food was involved. And he said, I got to go meet somebody. I want you to ride with me, as always. So I was like, okay.
Okay, December, baby. Thank you for coming back.
But today you have no independent recollection if you met the defendant at that time in July.
No.
At some point, though, did you meet her in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Do you remember where you met her in Los Angeles, whether it be the first or now second time? But
we went to the gym, and that's when I found out he was a racquetball coordinator. I think that's his title. And he said, I want you to play a few games. I was like, why? He's like, man, just play a few games. So I said, okay. And we played a couple of games. I didn't think anything of it.
you said you found out he was a racquetball player. You didn't, or coach, you didn't know that before?
No.
So when you went to the gym then, did you get introduced to the defendant?
I did.
So ruled.
I did.
How did that work?
It was a casual conversation, I thought.
People's 197, is that the gym you went to?
Yes.
Was there anything that you noticed between the two of them, Baker and the defendant, that caught your attention?
More hands-on than anything. They were really close.
Did he tell you that at this time in Los Angeles now that he was in a relationship with her?
Yes.
Timing wise, what are we talking about now? You've been in Vegas in July of 2016. Now you're at the LA Fitness in Woodland Hills and you meet her. Where are we at in 2016?
We're still in July?
When you came back, you met her in July and at the LA Fitness?
Mm-hmm. I think later that at some point, he was like, we're going to go hang out at her house. I was like, oh, okay.
Of course.
I guess my question is, when you left Las Vegas, you came back to Los Angeles, is that correct?
Yes.
And at that point, was it that same trip down, or was it that same time frame down here that you met her at the gym in Woodland Hills?
Yes.
So the same trip, that same time
So
frame.
the same, yes.
So he talks about going to her house after. Tell us what happened.
Said we're gonna get dressed. We're gonna ride. I said okay. Then he went to we went to her house, hung out, had some food, watched some TV, and then they went off into the bedroom, and I stayed out and watched TV.
Grown-ass men. But this is pitiful.
9, is that the house you went to?
Yes.
What was the purpose of going to that house?
I don't know. I thought
One
it,
moment. As form, that's his thing.
Why did Baker tell you you're going over there?
Sustained.
After the gym, you went to the house with Baker to visit Monica. Is that right?
Her house,
Yes.
her husband's house.
Okay. When you got there, then
What a tramp.
you went into the living room. What'd you do?
went into the living room. There was some pizza on the counter. Asked if I wanted some pizza. I said, sure. Went into the, then she's like, let me show you around.
She said, let me show you around. What did she do?
She just took me out to the patio where there was,
Mind you, the patio is where the murder took place. where Fabio liked to be at all the time, where he spent his time relaxing, the victim.
She took me out to the patio, and Baker was there, and I remember him making a comment. It's like, nice. I was like, yeah, it's a nice spot. And so I didn't think anything of it. It's just a nice house.
Did she say anything particular about the patio?
Nothing out of just showing the patio, like this is where we hang out.
You went back into the living room. What'd you do?
I turned on the TV and sat and watched TV for a little bit till I fell asleep.
Did you see where Monica and the defendant and Baker went?
There was a room right off the couch. Yeah, behind me to like the left.
Do you know what they were doing?
No,
How long were they gone?
I don't know.
What did
While.
you do? You're watching TV. What'd you do?
I watched TV until I fell asleep and kind of played on my phone a little bit and then played a game on my phone. I think it was, played a game on my phone.
Okay. Do grown men do that actually? Do grown men literally, that's like so high school, that you take your friend to the woman who you seeing house and then y'all go into the room to have sex. Ain't that juvenile? Everything about this is so pitiful. You know what I'm saying? And then let's just talk about the fact that Monica Sementilli was such a tramp. How, this is a married woman, her husband taking good care of her, providing for her a good life. It's a certain type of woman or man, hey, youngest, that literally have affairs. Okay, that's one thing. But then you take who you having an affair with to your house, to your marital home. It's a certain type of level of skank, disrespect, sluttiness, disgusting behavior. It's like disgusting, very disgusting. Maybe in the early 20s, and he had to be like 40 some years old. This man here was in his late 20s. This is ridiculous. I'm telling y'all, this is painful. I mean, I know they got different personality types. I know they have meek men. I know they have quiet tone men. But me personally, I don't like no muffled mouth man. I don't like no timid man. I don't, This is too pathetic for me. His grown ass then ruined his whole life, his wife life, his daughter growing up with her daddy, everything. Stolen moments. Her husband was not there and she wanted to take advantage of it. Tacky is that to bring, how disrespectful that is to literally be having an affair and bring the person who you cheating with all to your house. Okay, it's disrespectful for so many reasons, and then it's like, damn, you letting everybody else in the neighborhood disrespect. How they gonna think it and look at your husband? You know what I'm saying? It's just horrible. This is so tacky. They some tacky ne'er-do-wells. That's my word of the month, ne'er-do-wells.
And then I fell asleep.
Please double check. Thank y'all for joining.
Not to my knowledge.
She's a nasty trap with no respect for house
or the defendant's children or hear them at home.
Boom, VA.
No.
Did you even know the defendant had children?
Not at this time. No.
Did you know at this time that the defendant was married?
No.
Can't tell. She's a slut.
What
We
time
don't
did
have
you leave the
tolerance
house
for
that night
sluts around here.
It was kind of late.
It's a zero slut zone.
Rob wake you up?
Yeah.
Did he say anything to you when you left about the house?
And he said it's a nice house, right? And then I was like, yeah. I was like, remember that layout? I was like, layout. I said, okay. I didn't really think anything of it.
Right, but he said, remember that layout?
I remember him saying that.
I'm going to go back now to when you were in Las Vegas, just right before you ended up in this house when you're back in Los Angeles. When you went on that Las Vegas trip with Baker, did he buy your ticket?
You flunky.
Or give you money for your ticket?
He might have bought my ticket.
Was that something that Baker did when you flew down? Did he share or give you money?
Yes.
How did that work?
He typically either bought me a ticket or I bought it and he gave me cash when I got there.
Did you have an ATM card that Baker had given you to use in Alaska?
Yes.
So what would he do for you in order for you to access money?
He gave me the PIN code to access it.
So were you able to use Rob Baker's ATM card in Anchorage, Alaska and withdraw money?
Yes.
Was it for the purpose of buying flights to come to Los Angeles?
Yes.
So this particular flight in 2016, did you withdraw money and then buy a flight to come to Los Angeles?
Yes.
And when you flew into LA, did Baker pick you up from the airport?
Yes.
And then you drove to Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Bo, you
We talked
funny.
about you're not sure if you saw Monica in Las Vegas, but let's talk about when you stayed at Al Birdsong's house. Did a conversation come up while you were there? And again, this is July 2016 in Las Vegas. Did a conversation come up between you, Al Birdsong, and Robert Baker about the defendant and her husband?
Very true, December, baby.
Yes.
And what was that?
He talked about he was messing with this woman, and then he started asking questions about how to get rid of evidence, and then
Who was asking that?
Baker. And I remember him saying like about him. Remember him saying like talking about. I was like, we talking about a murder. I was like, oh,
Not oh. Oh.
I don't remember like all the details of that.
Can you describe then, how did this conversation begin?
Birdsong and Baker were talking at first. I wouldn't just sit there and say, they said, hey, I want to tell you something. I don't think that's how it came up.
Okay.
They typically have conversations without me often. It's something I probably walked into. I remember.
Sustain.
Do you recall if you walked into a conversation or entered into a conversation when Baker was already talking to Birdsong about something?
Yes.
And then what was your participation in that?
He started asking me, he's like, how much do I weigh?
Who?
Baker. He started asking me how much I weigh. I remember hearing
Hey,
he could probably
Renee.
do it. I was like, do what? He said, I'll tell you later. I might have a job for you later. I don't know.
Sorry, Ron, it's unclear who's speaking.
Again, counsel, you can clarify.
If you could also, is this Baker talking
Yes.
at this point? Okay, continue.
And I don't really remember like
Okay.
how all that really came about. But
At
I know
this-
that they were talking.
Now, at this point in time, he already been sentenced 16 years to life with the possibility of parole, and that's broken off him testifying, right? Becoming state witness. So you mean to tell me that now it's a difference between him spending life in prison or getting out in maybe 16 years, 20 years, that he gonna sit his ass on this stand right now and play crazy? He need to, at this point in time, he didn't sat in jail for prison for a few years. This the rest of his life on the fucking line. He ought to be telling it all. He didn't have enough time to sit in his goddamn cell and remember everything. He's a real flunky through and through, like through and through. Let me stop dragging this man. Y'all saw Apollo? Even now, it's like he's still trying to cover for these people who don't give a damn about him.
Talking about it.
At this point in the house, you knew that Baker was involved with someone.
Yes.
And he began talking about that female.
Yes.
And the topic of the conversation was a job that he may want you to do.
Yes.
Did he say anything about that female and what she wanted?
At the time, she said she don't like him. I'm sorry. Baker's telling this outlines that she don't like him. So
him and Robert did it. They both confessed.
She don't want to be with him no more.
There's no question about who did it. They both confessed and they both convicted in prison.
Do you know what they were talking about when Baker says to you,
It's overruled.
she wants him gone?
I had a clue, but I was like, I'm not smart. And so they're going to have to elaborate.
Did they elaborate?
Baker did.
What did he say?
Baker said she wants him gone.
Okay.
She wants him dead.
Did
He
the
say, I'm not
conversation
smart.
turn to
It's that low self-esteem.
between you,
That's what got him
Birdsong,
caught
and
up.
Baker, how to do it?
Yeah.
Wow, VA.
What happened?
Exactly, Lady Stell. That goes with that self-esteem, huh?
I remember him talking about shooting a man.
Who said that?
Baker did.
And what was?
And then the response was, no, that would be too loud.
Who responded?
Birdsong responded, and then they both agreed that would be too loud. And then they mentioned like stabbing, and it hit him right in the jugular, quick. And I remember him saying quick.
And which one was saying that?
Baker said that. And then they both agreed. Birdsong and Baker both agreed, like, yeah, hit him in the jugular, fast and quick. Well, Birdsong said that. And Baker, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, clarify who said what, please.
Birdsong said you could probably hit him in the jugular, quick and easy. And Baker said, yeah.
During this time then, did you see or hear Baker on the phone with anyone?
He was always he's texting somebody, but I don't know who.
During this conversation then, do you know, if you know from your own point of view, if he was talking or texting with the defendant while this conversation was happening?
I wouldn't know.
Did you see him texting?
Yeah.
A lot?
He would text a lot.
During this time frame, did you have any conversations about using burner phones?
At some point, the burner phone topic came up. I just don't remember when, but it came up.
So what was the topic?
I remember hearing we can get burner phones because they can't be tracked.
Now, this conversation is occurring. Are you under the clear impression now that it is to kill this woman's husband?
Yes.
Is your opinion then, based on what Baker and Birdsong are talking about, that the wife wanted it done?
Yes.
Speculation.
As formed, that would be sustained.
Did you have an opinion who wanted it done?
Objection, Your Honor. This is English irrelevant speculation.
Premature, it's overruled.
Yes, she's on trial now for the
Yes.
conspiracy for the murder.
Monica the wife wanted it done. I'm sorry.
At some point in the conversation, or do you realize that it's you that they want to do it?
Yes.
How did that
That a
happen?
bitch.
You mean, what do you mean?
How did the conversation go from talking about how to do it to it
Yeah,
focusing on you're going to be
right.
the one that does it?
I remember saying, I'm about to go to bed. I was like, okay. He said, okay. Remember he came up, he's like, I'm gonna talk to you for a second. I was like, what's up? It's like, do you think you could do something like this? I was like, probably not. And
So
he
how
said,
did you
okay.
say yes?
And he closed the door. And then next morning we rode back, which I think that's when I actually met at the gym. We drove back to LA. And I remember him saying, I want you to move back. Something to that effect when we were riding back. I remember that.
Move back.
From Alaska to LA.
Did he say why?
I miss you.
Oh, hell no.
Drive back to Los Angeles. Did you continue the conversation about planning this murder of the defendant's husband?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
Did you talk about it again while you were in Los Angeles before you went back to Alaska?
No, I don't think so.
Did you bring it up again?
No,
Why not?
I didn't want to.
Why didn't you want to?
Because I was hoping that, like, yo, this isn't going to happen. You're not really trying to do this. But then when I got back to Alaska, phone calls started happening. And then they, every now and again, I get on three-way call between myself and Mr. Birdsong and Baker. And
Birdsong, another
he's
friend,
going
the
out of
roommate.
town. Can you fly in? Are you fast enough?
Who's
Do you
saying
think
this?
Baker's asking these questions. I was like, I don't know.
So timeline wise, when you got back, you did Las Vegas, you came back to Los Angeles, you ended up, you believe it to be that night at the defendant's
I'm
house, which is
thinking.
when you laid on the couch, right?
Yes.
Earlier
I
you
got
said
a
that you didn't know she was married, but by this point you knew she was married.
At this point, yeah.
Okay.
Like officially like married versus like together.
When Robert Baker said to you when you were leaving, remember the layout of the house, had there been any previous conversation about where the plan was to commit the murder?
I remember in the talks that she could leave the door open. There's a back door to their bedroom.
Let's not say back
through
door.
the back door and come out. I was like, I remember that happened.
When did that happen, that conversation?
I want to say over the phone.
Okay, just to back you up. While you're in Las Vegas, you have one conversation about this for the first time, correct?
Yes.
During that conversation, did you ever talk about or hear Baker and Birdsong talk about where they wanted the murder to occur?
I remember them saying like it has to be in the community or some sort. Got to be out.
Okay, my question is when Baker says, remember this layout, in your mind, was there a plan that it was going to be in the house at that time, the murder?
No, if I recall, I remember he said, remember that layout, because that's when they started talking about the bedroom aspect of going in the middle of the night. And doing it while he was sleeping.
That was another conversation?
That was another conversation. I don't know when, but I know that was another conversation.
after Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. So at some point after you were at the house that night, did you fly back to Anchorage then the following day or within a couple of days? After you came back from Las Vegas, you went the next night to the defendant's house, or that same night, did you fly back to Anchorage?
A couple of days, probably a day or two later, maybe.
So when did these three-way calls then start?
Maybe a couple months after, 3 months after, September, October.
October timeframe?
Maybe.
During those months in between, were there any conversations about this plan to kill the defendant's husband?
Yeah.
What was that?
They were still planning, and I remember Baker still asking me like how much I weighed, and things of that nature. Just about my physical attributes a little bit.
These are phone calls from Baker to you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Court reporter.
Thank
And
you.
is he, before the three ways, is Baker calling you, asking you questions then, or talking about still this plan that he wants to put into motion with Birdsong and the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Was Birdsong talking to you also, before we get to the three-way phone calls, was Birdsong also talking to you individually following up on this plan?
Yes.
And what was he talking to you about?
Just the aspects of being in and out.
What does that mean?
Injection.
In and out meaning
Injection calls for speculation.
Oh, really?
meaning I remember one of the plan was like to still like go to the house. No. I think at this point they were talking about him being out somewhere at night and then doing it then quick and then getting out of there.
Around October then, the three-way phone calls, was that you, Baker, and Birdsong all on a call together?
Yes.
Okay. Who
Those are
was
the calls.
initiating that phone call?
Usually Baker would.
And then on those, well, how many phone calls did you do that were three-way phone calls?
I don't remember.
More than 5?
Probably.
More than 10?
Maybe. Yeah.
Were the topic of these three-way phone calls all about planning the murder of the defendant's husband?
Not all. Some of them were just to check in, seeing how I'm doing, seeing what I'm doing. They were very curious about what I was doing. And I would tell them, like, working.
What do you mean they were curious about what you were doing?
I mean, like, they wanted to know, like, exactly what I was doing and how I was doing. Like, what are you still working? Are you? It almost seemed like, if I remember correctly, it almost seemed like they were making sure that I wasn't like backing out. I don't remember taking all their phone calls all the time too, because I was working. I do remember like a few missed calls from them a few times, well, from Baker.
Did you ever express to them that you wanted to back out?
I didn't say it directly. I gave hints. It's like, I'm working a lot. I don't know. I can't. And they started, well, Baker started like initiating, like try to figure out when you can get some time off. I was like, I don't know. I'm working a lot.
Now, by the way, during all these phone calls, was the defendant ever on any of the phone calls?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and did you ever speak directly with the defendant at any time, directly with her about killing her husband?
No.
So was your communication with and through Baker?
Yes.
Was he relaying what she was telling him for the majority of the time?
Yes.
So on these calls then, specifically, did you talk about these three-way calls? Did you guys talk again about ways to kill the defendant's husband?
Yes. Just, I remember saying like where he's going to be. And
What
again,
does that mean?
He's telling me this stuff at this point.
Who's he?
Baker.
Is telling you where he's going to be. And this is so around the October timeframe, right?
Maybe November now.
And what did he tell you in regard to where he's going to be? What does that mean?
Said he travels a lot. So it might not go down. I was like, cool.
What's the last part?
He said it might not go down.
Did Baker tell you that the defendant had sent him her husband's itineraries when he traveled out of town?
Overruled.
Did Baker say what?
Did Baker ever tell you that the defendant had sent him, Baker, her husband's itineraries when he went out of town?
I don't recall him saying that, but he knew when he was leaving. He knew his schedule.
Sorry, there's no
So-
question Spanish.
Did Baker tell you when the defendant's husband was out of town?
Yes.
Was there ever a plan or a conversation between you, Baker, or you and Birdsong, or you and all three of you together, you, Baker, and Birdsong, to possibly kill the defendant's husband when he was out of town? Was that ever a conversation?
I don't remember.
So let me interrupt you at this time. Let's take our morning recess for 15 minutes. The admonition applies. I'll see you back here in 15 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, I had to go take care of some stuff. So I forgot. I was in the chat the whole time listening, right? And I forgot that you guys all couldn't see the comments I was putting in from the other channel, right? So I typed in, I can hear myself. Hold on. All right, here I come. Let me see. So one of the questions I asked when I was in the chat, but all y'all couldn't see it, was I said, so who think there's something homosexual going on between Robert and this man? Now, I don't know who said it earlier because y'all been participating great, but somebody said, use the word, I don't know who, use the word grooming, right? Because he explained his relationship with Robert. Chris, the hired flunky, as I'm calling him, he met this man in his youth. Robert was a friend of his father. Robert is the same age with his daddy. somehow, some way, beyond just the, hey, this my daddy friend, a close friend, I call him Unc. He put him in a position of like almost like a big brother, a play uncle. He called him Unc. Somehow, some way, when he 19, 18, 19, he ended up out in California living with Robert. Robert working in the sex industry. And all that entails. So you know already he getting exposed to these sex workers, these adult movie makers, you know what I'm saying? Is sex involved? He young, he loving it up, enjoying it. And he been exposed to stuff. I'm thinking at some point in time, I'm thinking that maybe he was groomed in a sexual type of manner, because it's something very unnatural about the way he talking. Not saying unnatural, but it's not just no heterosexual type situation going on. The influence that this other man have on him, the way he talking, the way he say, well, he said he wanted me to move back, and the lady say, why? Because he missed me. That's not no heterosexual thing. You know, for him to be flying, leaving his wife, his child in Alaska to come visit this man, to get his ATM card, even before the murder plan, to buy tickets and stuff. None of that, all that type of stuff don't sound just straight to me. I don't know straight men that do all that. I might be wrong. And ain't nothing wrong being homosexual. That ain't my point. My point is, I think it was some type of homosexual influence, a dynamic going on between these two men that got him under the man's thumb, whereas he would be a fool and throw away his life.
We are back on the record. Mr. Sementilli, the defendant is present. All counsel are present, jury and alternate present. Mr. Austin, you're still under oath. You may continue.
No reaction.
Mr. Austin, when
He
we
said
broke,
like,
we were discussing the conversations that you had prior to coming to LA. Now, in December
thank you
of
for so great.
2016, did you formulate the plan then when you were going to, around that time frame, when you would be able to come down to LA?
He is a
to
sucker,
commit
literally.
this murder?
Yes, ma'am.
If you recall, was that on a three-way phone call with Birdsong and Baker when you actually worked out days?
I think it was just with Baker.
You said before break that they were asking you about days and you had to work or something of that nature. Can you explain what you were talking about?
When they were asking me?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? Baker would say, when can you get time off? And I told him I just started a new job, so I won't be able to get any time off for a little while. PTO is not available.
Birdsong is older. He couldn't do
Making
it.
up a lot of things actually. For
He got in trouble too, though.
like, I can't do it.
Why were you
I can't
saying that?
remember.
Because I didn't want to come down and do it. And because he had already told me so much information, I was afraid to like go to anybody.
What do you mean you were afraid to go to anybody?
I mean, I was at that point in time in my life, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I shut a lot of people out.
So does that mean you didn't talk to anybody about what you were planning and involved in and about to do?
Yes.
Were you dating your now wife then? Chloe, were you with her?
Yes.
You weren't married to her then?
No.
Did you tell her anything about
Wait a
this
minute.
plan
He
to go
married
to
you in
LA
prison?
and kill the defendant's husband?
She's slow
No,
too.
ma'am.
At some point then you determined what days you're going to fly down. How did you guys determine the date? Was there any particular reason why you flew down when you did?
Baker told me, I'm gonna get you a ticket. I'm gonna send the card let them know for these dates, it should be fine. It's just a job. And there's plenty of money.
What do you mean there's plenty of money? Is that something Baker told you?
Yes.
Did he elaborate on that?
He said, if you do this, you
How owe you?
can make some money. I'll give you $2. And I was
A couple
like,
of dollars.
couple dollars. He said, yeah, I can give you $2. He said, I can get you anywhere between 30 and 50 grand. And there's plenty more where that came from.
Did he tell you where that money would come from?
He said it was going to come from, the defendant.
And specifically, where from the defendant?
Well, he would always say she's loaded. So once she gets this insurance money, we're going to be good. We're going to move out of the country somewhere and I'll send for you.
Okay,
When he told you, and this is Baker,
Yes.
when he told you we're going to move out of the country somewhere, did he tell you who he was talking about?
I knew who he was talking about,
Who was that?
the defendant.
He told you that they, when it was over, were going to move out of the country. And what did he tell you as far as what you were going to do after this occurred?
No, he didn't tell me anything. He just said, I'm going to send for you once we get settled.
To you, what did I'm going to send for you mean?
He was going to fly me out.
Fly you out where?
Wherever they had decided to land.
And this is after
so
the
weird.
murder would have occurred.
Yes, ma'am.
So the plan was to leave the country?
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. You want to get down?
Did Baker ultimately then buy your ticket to come down to Los Angeles for this?
Yes.
And does it sound right around January 12th, that time frame he bought your ticket?
Yes.
You came down on Alaska Airlines?
Yes.
During that time frame, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, when you're talking about your ticket, did you have a lot of conversations that you recall with Baker about the planning and the logistics of what was going to happen?
Y'all get out my head because y'all, it just took me out to find out that at the time of this crime, he was just dating Chloe. They wasn't married. So you mean to tell me she married him after this shit? She is just as slow as his ass, period. And I bet, let me not go there. And I bet you Chloe don't even look like us. Throw all these people away. Throw them all in the trash.
Yeah. He said that.
Yeah, he's a liar. He might not even get no deal.
I remember him saying, like, when you come out here, it's got
He
to
might
be
fuck
quick
up his deal.
because he's supposed to go out of town soon.
Who was
He a
he?
big dummy.
He was supposed to go out of town. Who was Baker talking about?
The victim. He was talking about the victim.
Was this around the time frame of when you bought your ticket on, or he bought your ticket on January 12th of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
So he told you have to come soon, that he, the victim's going to be going out of town soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he tell you when the victim was going to be going out of town?
No, ma'am.
Did he tell you where the victim was going to be going out of town?
No, ma'am.
Did Baker tell you how he knew the victim was going to be going out of town?
He told me that the defendant lets him know everything.
I'm going to object unless to use the word defendant.
Still room.
She lets him know everything?
She lets him know. She's like, she's going to let me know. She let me know.
She
everything.
is a damn defendant.
Did he tell you anything else about that you recall during that conversation?
Hey, Jim.
So on January 22nd,
Jill, I started walking
2017,
yesterday.
you fly then on a ticket that Baker purchased for you to Los Angeles on Alaska Airlines.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
When you flew here, what was the purpose of coming to LA on this particular date?
Exactly, foot soldier. He taking me out.
To kill the victim.
When you landed, well, let me ask you this first. You're in a relationship with Chloe at this point?
I am.
At the time that you flew to LA on January 22nd, 2017, were you in a relationship with her?
Yes.
What did you tell her was the reason why you were going to Los Angeles?
To help with some business. He wasn't feeling well. That was what he told me to tell her.
You told her that who wasn't feeling well?
Chloe must
Baker
be a
wasn't
damn
feeling
Eskimo.
well, and then I had to pick up some of his business errands for a little bit, for just a couple of days.
Had Chloe ever met Robert Baker?
No.
Up until your arrest, did you ever tell Chloe what had happened or what you had done in and on January 23rd, 2017, when you participated in the killing of Fabio Sementilli?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone what you had done?
No.
Why not?
He ain't that dumb. Damn.
I couldn't tell anybody.
Did you ever write down or document any of the things that occurred leading up to the murder or during the murder or immediately after the murder?
No.
So
No, Tweety, I'm gonna
everything
give you a
you're
recap.
testifying now, 8 years later, is from memory?
Yes.
When you arrived in LA, do you remember what time it was? Your flight?
It was early in the morning, like between
Right,
6:57, 7:30.
And that's on January 22nd, 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
Who picked you up from the airport?
Baker did.
And when he picked you up, did you take a cell phone with you to Los Angeles?
No.
Why not?
He told me not to.
Who told you not to?
Baker told me not to.
Oh Lord, thank God for Tweety coming up in here to give me so I can push pause on this flunky. All right, so a quick recap. If you're coming in, welcome Jill, welcome Tweety, welcome anyone who might be in the clouds on either channel. Hit the like, and subscribe. So a quick recap. We're watching this. We went back. We finally got some action in the trial that started 25 days ago. We watched the opening statements. We got bored and disinterested very quickly. This is what they're calling on court TV, the love affair trial. Okay, the love affair murder trial. Who's on trial right now is Monica. You see her to the left there, Monica Sementilli. She was married to Fabio Sementilli. That was her husband over there with the rest in peace and the dove to the right. Married for over 20-something years. Prosperous marriage. He was a well-known, famous, what have you, hairstylist. He had moved over to the corporate part of that deal with a company. He was able to afford them an excellent lifestyle. Monica obviously wasn't satisfied in her marriage or what have you. She went looking and hooking, meaning having an affair with Robert Baker down at the bottom left-hand corner. They started a hot and torrid, steamy love affair that included swinging, all type of nasty and lewd pictures, trips, what have you. At some point in time, Monica decided she didn't want to just have an affair. She wanted to have a man. She wanted to have Robert Baker, the sex, that lifestyle, everything but the husband. So they concocted a plan. The state of California said that she concocted a plan with her lover, Robert Baker, to take Fabio Sementilli out of the picture because she wanted to keep the money, keep the lifestyle, keep her prestige. That if she got a divorce, she wouldn't be able to keep. Christopher Austin is on the stand now. Christopher Austin was supposed to be the hired hitman. He was supposed to do this murder by himself. But as y'all can tell just that quickly, we just came in by his demeanor on that stand and how he carried and understand. He ain't the most gutsy of them all. He couldn't pull it off by himself. So because he was chicken shitty and couldn't put it off by himself, that's how Robert Baker, the lover, that's how he got involved. He ended up having to go in there and pretty much kill the man himself. So on the stand right now is chicken shit Christopher Austin, who literally is so pathetic and weak. Okay? It took so long, 8 years to come to trial because they did the other cases. The investigation took like over a year or so. The surveillance, it took a long time. Now, this case was featured on all of them, like Dateline, 48 Hours, all that. Chloe, hey, Daniel. Girl, he acting like he cried. No, he been on here crying. Y'all think he faking? Yep, he has them alphabets attached to him. What alphabets, girl? Baker wanted him and the woman. Baker wanted him and the woman. Woo child, right? Hey, Sassafram. I can't, Demetri. This too much, girl. You been doing for 2 hours. We can take it. Did he tell him what to eat? Right. So at this moment in time, you guys, you're just joining. I'm convinced. I knew from day one that this guy was the flunky. I knew it. I knew from day one by the set of his eyes. I knew that I said it when we watched the opening statements and they introduced him in. I say, you know what? This guy here was supposed to be the fall guy. He was the hired flunky. They never intended on getting their hands dirty. Robert was never supposed to have anything to do with the physical part of executing this plan. They were supposed to pull him in as the flunky, as the fall guy, get him to commit the crime. If everything went well, cool. Throw him a little couple of dollars. Send him on his way. If something go wrong, he get caught, fine. He the fall guy. Our hands not on it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. It'd be his word against ours. That's how it was supposed to go. But the very first time and set up for him to go kill the man, he couldn't even do it. He came back with the job not done. And that's why Robert had to go in. Robert Baker had to go up in there. And when they went up in there to unalive the man, this man only stabbed him one time. Robert Baker was the one who had to end him. Baker wanted the husband and the wife for X. Now, how he wanted the husband? Tweety, don't come up here and talk crazy. Tweety came up here and talk about Baker wanted the husband and the wife for sex. Now, what I did assume at this point in time, because of how this man is relating the whole situation between him and Baker, I am under the impression, it's my own thought, I am really under the impression, because Baker been knowing this boy since he was a young boy, because Baker was friends with his daddy, I feel like Baker groomed this man. Yeah, Apollo. That's him begging Rock to play with him.
Did you have that same conversation with Al Birdsong?
That was it. That was one of the three-way calls, I think.
We
He
back.
told me not to bring his cell phone.
Do you know why you were told not to bring a cell phone?
They told me so I can't be tracked.
And by can't be tracked, that means find your location if someone were to access your phone or
Yes.
phone records?
Yes.
So where did you leave your phone?
In the car,
What car?
in Chloe's car at the time.
So when you flew to LA, when you first got here on January 22nd, 2017, you did not have a phone when you landed.
No.
How did Baker, if you know, how did he know where to pick you up?
He knew I was flying Alaska Airlines.
And had you given him your flight information?
Yes.
So
Monica
did
and this
Baker-
man.
Yes.
Okay. Did Baker ask you about if you brought your cell phone?
Yes.
What did he ask?
He said, "Do you have your phone?" I said, "No."
Okay. Did he give you something?
He gave me a burner phone.
What is, to your knowledge, what is a burner phone?
It's a burner phone. It's an untraceable phone that doesn't really connect to any service, except for like I think they piggyback off of whatever towers are available.
So it's a
Something.
phone that's
He
not
definitely
registered in your
soft.
name,
Yes.
and you
Let me go get
use
some
the
more
words untraceable. So is it a kind of phone you can go into a store and just buy a phone?
Yes.
And is that the kind of phone where you yourself or somebody else can just add minutes to it?
Yes, ma'am.
So he gave you this burner phone. Did he tell you why he was giving you a burner phone?
Just in case we get separated, is all he said.
After he picked you up from the airport, where did you go?
We went back to his apartment.
And where was his apartment? If you remember, the best area you can recall.
The Valley.
Was it somewhat near to the house, the Sementilli house?
Yes.
So the same general area.
Yes.
When you went to his apartment on January 22nd of 2017, after you got in the early morning hours, what did you do at the apartment?
Sat there
And how long did you sit there?
some hours, most all day.
Did you go out at some point to any stores or anything?
I believe we went out later in like that afternoon, a little after the afternoon. So Baker could purchase a knife.
Is that something Baker told you he needed to do?
Yes.
So where did you go?
I believe it was a Walmart.
Do you know where that Walmart was located?
No, it was in the Valley, so it wasn't too far.
And again, it was 8 years ago, but do you know about what time you
I
went?
object to the preamble, Your Honor, from 8 years ago.
I see nothing wrong with that. It's overruled.
Do you know around what time you went to this Walmart?
Evening time, maybe like 4.
Had you discussed purchasing a knife prior to this trip to Walmart?
When we got there,
Tell us about that.
picked up a couple regular miscellaneous items, some Gatorades, and then it's like, we gotta go get a knife. Well, not in that context of we have to go get a knife. He just walked to the counter and picked out one, and then said, "Let me see that one." Showed it to him, and he bought it.
Prior to going to Walmart, did you have a conversation about having to buy or get a knife?
Yeah. Yes.
When was that?
I think it was in the car on the way there. He said we gotta go get a knife.
On the way to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So yes?
Yes. Excuse me.
Now, a knife, ultimately 2 knives were used in the
Yes.
murder, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many knives, to your knowledge, were purchased?
Yes, he had lived in Alaska.
One.
What kind of knife was that?
Pocket knife, switchblade. Well, not a switchblade. I'm sorry. It's a pocket knife, foldable knife.
Not a
The kind
pocket
that
knife.
folds?
Yes.
the second knife then that was ultimately used, where'd that come from?
Baker had one.
He already had a knife? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Court reporter?
Yes.
What kind of knife was that?
You sick of him.
Hunter's knife style. Went into a pouch.
So is that a fixed blade type knife? And it didn't fold?
No, it didn't fold.
The knife at Walmart, he ultimately purchased a knife?
Yes, ma'am.
Exhibit 155. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize that?
That's the knife he purchased.
And how do you remember, did you see this knife at Walmart, or is this a knife that you use?
Hold up, y'all. We got a confused juror. Okay, Tweety, we cover different trials. The one at nighttime always be the same trial, but during daytime it's gonna probably be something different. This is in California. This is the state of California versus Monica Sementilli. Okay, the crime took place in California. He lived personally. This man here lived in Alaska, but Robert flew him out to California. So Alaska is where he lived, but everything took place in California. Okay. And then he flew back to Alaska. The crime didn't take place in Alaska. Hey, Thomas Jones. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon. I'm streaming this on both channels, from both on my Demetri Lit All Day channel. Shout out to Lit Lane, and on my Trial Watch with Demetri channel. Shout out to the Lit Lane Jury Box. Okay, I do this in an effort to try to expose more of my audience on Demetri Lit All Day to what we do over on Trial Watch with Demetri. If you find yourself enjoying this content and you didn't know that you would, make sure that you're subscribed to Trial Watch with Demetri and that you hit the notification. We're on the vertical, so if you're new to this channel, you never came across this channel before, thank you for stopping by. I am Demetri Lit All Day, otherwise known in my official capacity as Judge D Lit. Make sure you're double tapping that channel. If you join the conversation, the commentary, and all that type of stuff, be sure to hit the super chat button, the super sticker button, Cash App Demetri Lit All Day. More importantly, right now, make sure you subscribe. You got it, Tweety? And also on the vertical, I see now that I can take this background and I can put like a recap summary at the bottom where those chairs at. It's enough room to actually put a nice little recap right there. So I'm going to work on that. As a matter of, I probably need to put it at the, okay, anywho, let's continue.
I saw the knife at Walmart.
So that appears
What
to be the
subject
knife
is
that-
currently pulling her hair out?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't do that.
When this murder happened, were you armed with that knife that I just showed you, or were you armed with the hunting knife that you described that Baker already had?
Baker gave me the hunting style knife. He had the foldable knife.
Do you normally carry a knife?
Like on my person every day?
Yes. Or
No.
at that time, I'm sorry, at that time.
No.
During that time frame of 2017, those years, were you one to carry a knife normally?
No.
All right, so you went back then after you went to Walmart, purchased the knives, then what happened?
We went back to his apartment. Went back to his apartment and waited. Then he said he's gonna text her and let her
Girl, I
know.
don't know which one is the best day or night.
And then as the night fell, he let me know. He said she's gonna send him to the store so we can catch him then.
Yes, I see the comments from both channels.
And I just said, okay.
And I'm trying to flash all the comments so everybody can see all the
And then we
comments
went to the
on both pages.
We went to the shopping center. We parked out back. He showed me a picture of him.
Oh, wait.
He
Let me
said, "This
listen.
is who you're looking for."
Oh, hold on. This is something very important. Hold on. Let me rewind it a little bit. I'll read the comments. Yes, I'm putting both. I'm trying to stay cognizant of putting the comments from both channels on the screen so everybody can see everybody comments. What he's describing right now is when the first attempt at the murder for hire took place in that parking lot. The reason why I know is because they gave a very extensive opening statement. Anywho, I'm gonna rewind. This is when we first found out that he was chicken shitty. Okay, he was supposed to kill the man in the god doggone at the restaurant. He couldn't do it. Let's rewind that. Let's listen.
A knife. Ultimately, 2 knives were used in the
Yes.
murder, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many knives, to your knowledge, were purchased at Walmart?
Oh, I might
One.
rewind too far.
And I just said, okay. And then we went to the shopping center. We parked out back. He showed me a picture of him. He said, "This is who you're looking for." He said, "This is who you're looking for. It should be in a blue or black Ford pickup." And I said, okay. And he parked out back and he made me get out of the car, and then he moved the car somewhere else. And I walked along. And as I'm walking, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Kind of meat does not that going for it.
I was like, I can't do this. And
Chicken
I went back to
shitty.
the car. He's like, what happened? So I was like, couldn't get him. Couldn't do it.
And then did you leave after that?
Yeah, we left and went back to his apartment.
That's when you should have flew your chicken shit ass back to Alaska, idiot.
When this is on January 22nd, the day you flew in, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You should have flew his ass back
When
home.
you flew in and you're driving from the airport to Baker's apartment, is there a plan in place when this is going to happen and where this is going to happen?
He's so
What I
lame.
just described.
Had you already talked about the fact that you were going to do it that night?
He wanted me to do it that night.
Had you talked about the fact that it was going to be in a public place as opposed to the house?
Yeah.
Did you know at that point early in the day where that public place was going to be?
No.
What did Baker tell you as far as where that place was going to be?
What do you mean? Like,
Did he ever indicate to you, you knew it was going to be that day somewhere? Did Baker ever indicate to you earlier in the day, like, where's this going to happen?
no, because I don't think he knew where he was going to be.
Did he Baker tell you if the defendant had an idea where she wanted this to happen?
He said he's going to find out from her.
Okay. He's going to find out from her.
Boom. Just a recap. We found out during the opening statements that at this restaurant, the first attempt, they showed text messages during the opening statements from Monica to her husband, the victim, saying, hey, I think I want some tofu or whatever the hell it was, lo mein or whatever. And she sent Fabio, the husband, to that particular restaurant. And then she told Robert where the restaurant was. So that definitely linked Monica to them trying to kill him, in my opinion. Hey, Miss Queenie 98. Girl, we went back. We finally got some action in the Monica Sementilli trial. That's been going on for 25 days as of today. We had put this trial behind us. We just put it in the back rearview mirror until it got good. This is one of the higher hitmen. He a flunky. He do whatever people tell him to do. He didn't got caught up in this, didn't get paid, and he lame.
Her.
Just to bring you up
Now,
to speed.
you met with the detectives and the prosecutors, myself and Ms. Silverman, then in November 18th of 2024 over at the Robbery Homicide Division. Do you remember meeting with us there?
I do.
And during that time, you had agreed, and your counsel was present, correct? Your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's Simon Aval?
Yes, ma'am.
We all met together, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was at your initiation in order to talk to the prosecutors, the investigators, with your attorney present, to do what's called a proffer, or agree to be sworn in and go through the facts of what had happened, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that actually happen? Were you sworn in and promised to tell the truth, and then spent 2 days talking to the prosecutors as well as the detectives with your counsel present?
Yes, ma'am.
He took
And
a
you
deal.
signed an agreement. Do you recall doing that you would tell the truth as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You already marked people's 248. Oh, no, sorry, 240.
248, what is
Oh,
it?
it is 248. Proper agreement,
Yes.
3 pages.
They hired him to
This
be the
proper
hitman, and he's
agreement is dated
scary.
November 5th, 2024. Do you recognize this document? I'll go through the pages. The first page. And then on the very back, there's a signature there. Is that your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this document, then, did you understand it that you were going to spend the day, and actually what turned into 2 days, talking to the collective group that I just named, telling us the truth and everything in that during that time frame? Everything that you told us in there cannot be used against you, meaning everything that you tell us cannot be used against us if you decide, hey, you know what, I'm not going to testify. I don't want to do this anymore. We can't use anything you tell us during those 2 days against you. Did you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Unless
didn't
you
get
took the
convicted.
stand for some reason, then we would be able to use that interview. You understood that?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's somewhat a protected conversation. If you decided that you didn't want to come in today, you didn't want to cooperate, you didn't want to take a plea deal and take the stand, then we can't use anything you said against you.
That's right.
So rule.
Is that how you understood it?
To my knowledge, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you also understood that you always had a right to a jury trial if that's what you chose to do.
Yes, ma'am.
But instead, you, as it indicated, you entered a plea agreement. And part of that plea agreement was you cooperate, tell the truth, testify today. And then if the judge determines you're telling the truth, you'll be sentenced to the 2nd-degree murder, 16 to life, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, during this plea agreement,
That's why I don't understand why he mumbling.
you brought up January 22nd and this plan to kill Fabio that night, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody brought that up to you from the team that you're speaking with, whether it be the detectives or the prosecutors, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that was new information that you were providing to the team, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that night then, when you went, you bought the knives, and then at some point, there's a plan comes into shape. When does that plan come into shape of where and when?
If I recall, when we got back to the apartment, he got a text message saying saying she's going to send him to the store real quick and we can catch him there, like I explained earlier.
No foundation.
So rule.
All that stuff getting
Did he
overruled.
tell you this?
Yes.
And did he tell you who she was?
Yes.
Who is she?
The defendant, ma'am.
He told you that she's going to send him to the store. Did you know what that meant?
Yes.
What did that mean?
That meant that we had
Total.
that meant that we had to we had to go meet him there to see if we can catch him alone. It was pretty late about this around this hour,
Do you know what time it was?
maybe 8, 9 o'clock.
You said maybe. Do you know for sure?
I don't know for sure. I know there wasn't a lot of people in that parking lot.
Was it light or dark out?
It was dark.
And this is January of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when he said he got a text and that she was going to send him to the store, what happened next?
Restaurant.
We got in the car. We drove behind the shopping center, parked. That's when he showed me the picture. He gave me the knife.
I love this.
On the drive over to what you're calling a shopping center, did you have a conversation about what was going to happen?
Yeah, as I said before, he showed me what he looked like. He told me what he was driving, and he told me you need to get in and out. And make sure nobody sees you. Do you have your phone just in case we get separated?
The burner
Was that
phone.
the burner phone he'd given you?
Yes.
When he showed you a photo, was it on his phone or was it a printed out photo?
It was on his phone, I believe.
This individual, do you recognize him?
How you gonna recognize it with his head down?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the individual that he showed you a photo of on his phone?
Yes, ma'am.
There you go, crying again, kind of me.
Did he show you a photo of a truck or did he tell you about a truck?
He told me about a truck.
How did he describe the truck?
He said it's a dark pickup truck, F-150.
And you're on the last exhibit I put up was 13. Sitting at exhibit 141, did you ultimately see this truck at the location when you got there in relation to the victim?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know your way around the valley at this point to know where exactly you were going?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so when you met with us in November of 2024, do you recall describing the area, trying to explain where you went, but not knowing the exact location?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you right?
Remember telling
Lady Smith?
the prosecutors, the detective, as well as your attorney?
I remember telling you it was a grocery store at first of some sort, like a Rouse or Bonds, and I couldn't really remember.
He hasn't talked directly to Monica about
And
the
I
murder.
remember saying it, and it was like a nail salon involved, and a Chinese restaurant.
And at that time, did you tell everyone what street it was on or what area of the valley it was?
I remember saying it wasn't too far from the house.
But you didn't
From the
know what
victim's house.
street,
I didn't know what street. No.
and you didn't know what town.
No.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
Specific town, city.
Yes, that's correct.
But you described a Chinese restaurant and a nail salon that you remembered.
Yes.
And then what kind of place was this? What did you describe as far as?
I described
center?
it as a L-shaped shopping center.
He ain't no killer, but they
L-shaped
pushed him.
shopping center. Excuse me.
If I was his wife, I would be so embarrassed for so many reasons. Like, for real. I'll be so embarrassed.
Anything else about the shopping center that you described, recalling from your memory about that shopping center?
I remember like it being like there was a busy street in the front of the shopping center. There was I remember saying there's a parking lot area in the
So
back
y'all think he don't have a
of
conscience, or
some
he do
sort.
have a conscience?
Um, I remember saying there were like pillars
They
in
pushed
front of the
him.
stores, like sidewalk area, like your typical shopping center.
At
He
this
got
point,
peer
when
pressure.
you're describing it, at this point, you weren't shown any photographs. No one gave you any addresses of any nature, right?
That's correct.
And then ultimately, were you shown some photographs and asked during this proffer in November of 2024 if you recognized a certain plaza?
Yes.
My name
What's up to say? He can't even fake it right.
4 pages, People's 249 showing a shopping plaza.
Very well.
Page 1, were you shown that photograph then of this L-shaped plaza?
Yes, I was.
Did you recognize that?
Yes,
He was
I
an
did.
ussy before the crime, so why change now? Right.
By the pillars in the L shape and the parking lot.
Yeah, there's like pillars going on the side of the building as well as down each side. Was there anything else that you recognized about this particular shopping center?
There's a Chinese, I'm sorry, pho is it Vietnamese restaurant? Pho? A pho restaurant. And then there's a UPS store that I recognized.
Okay, so back in this corner where I'm pointing to some orange writing, page 2 is that a close-up. It says pho or pho, PHO, and then it has an OA. Do you recall that particular location?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recall it?
That's I want to say that's the day he went and got food.
Did you see the victim come out of that restaurant or that location?
I did.
And then page 3, is this another aerial, or not aerial?
He didn't even get paid. And then he didn't even get no definite amount. It was almost like on an IOU. She gonna come into some money, like after the death, right? So he didn't get paid. On the way back home after they did it, Robert gave him a couple of gold coins. We don't know how much they was worth. And as far as for the murder itself, they said something like Robert told him, I'll be able to give you a couple of dollars. And he said a couple of dollars, and then Robert told him, yeah, maybe between what they said, y'all, 30 and 50,000, but it was all on a goddamn IOU, a layaway, right? Murder for layaway. He flew from Alaska, left his woman to be a part of a crime, and then he's scary, and he a coward, and he got peer pressured. He real lame. He lame as fuck. This is a casebook example of when somebody try to, you know how them guys want to fit in so bad, they want to be cool, they want to be and then they really cowards and suckers.
But another Google
He's
map
a
that you were
sucker.
shown of the location after you described it to the prosecutors.
I know gold bus coins.
Yes, ma'am.
Very stupid, Yatana. Very.
You also described when you got there, where did you park, if you remember?
It was behind that building is where Baker parked.
He getting on everybody's nerves.
And then he parked.
And this is exhibit 249, page 4, where you show this aerial map also of the location. There's a building that runs horizontally across the photograph. In the middle of it, is that the building where the pho restaurant was, and then there's a parking lot in the front? It's L-shaped.
Yes.
Okay. When you indicated that you parked in the back, did you see that when this map was shown to you after?
Yes.
And can you indicate where that is, where you parked? And I don't know if you can't, but there's a back parking lot right here. Is that where you parked?
Yes.
And what I'm indicating is there's a parking lot behind the one building that's horizontal in the photograph, and there appears to be some kind of grass park behind that, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you park in this back area, is there a way then to access the front of the restaurant or the parking lot?
There's a little alleyway with some stairs.
Okay.
From where I'm looking at to my left, go left. I'm sorry.
Oh, your left.
Right.
It's my right.
Now, how you remember all that shit
Other
about
way,
a building
sorry.
he went to one time at
All the way,
nighttime,
keep going.
but he don't
Keep
remember
going.
some other stuff?
Right there.
He is a liar.
That's where he told me to walk down.
So I've indicated to my left, all the way down the horizontal white building, and then there's a breezeway that walks up towards the main parking lot, is that correct?
Yes.
And then did you come around the front where the restaurant is over here?
Yes.
Exactly.
And when I say here, there's a little icon with a fork and a knife, orange icon, that area?
Yes.
Okay. There's also a circle, did you circle that? There's a green
Yes.
circle around some cars, did you circle that?
Yes.
Okay, what was that indicating?
Indicating where the victim was parked at, or the area of.
So if you can walk us through then, you got to this place, it's dark, you parked in the back where Baker did. Was there a conversation before you got out of the car?
Yes, he told me to. Again, he told me to look for the truck. And he said, you know, he should be in one of those restaurants or one of those stores.
Good point, Winner.
Did he tell you how he knew that?
I'm sorry.
Did he tell you how he knew he should be in a restaurant or a store?
Before we left the apartment, he got a text message from his girlfriend at the time that she was going to send him to the store and where he went. So we went directly there.
And when you
She's
say
shaking her
girlfriend, you
head
meant the
no.
defendant?
They got
Yes.
proof,
So
lady.
he told you she sent a
What
text, or
slut?
you saw him get a text, and he said she's sending him to the store.
Yes,
And then did you drive directly to this location?
we drove directly to that location.
When you got there, or on the way, he's shown you a photo of him. He described the truck. You parked in the back. Did you immediately get out of the car?
No,
Okay. How long did you wait there?
about a couple minutes.
And then walk us through what happened when you got out of the car.
When I got out of the car, I walked from the back down the breezeway. And there wasn't a lot of cars there, wasn't a lot of people. Some of the stores were closed. And I walked past the restaurant, saw him in the restaurant, walked past the UPS store, turned and walked back.
How
As he was
obvious
walking
is
out,
that?
he went straight to his truck, and I walked back.
Okay.
He didn't even
Timing
pinch
wise,
the man.
did Baker ever tell you?
He didn't walk up on the man. He didn't go
He's there
boo.
now? Or he got notice from the defendant that he's there?
Yeah, when we was in the back of the parking lot, he did say, that's what I said, like about 2 minutes, and say wait, and then he said he should be there. Go check.
Did he say how he knew that he should be there?
He got the text message. He was texting like in the driver's seat.
To the defendant?
Yes.
This is page 3 then. Let me zoom in here. There's the File restaurant. It's got the orange writing on the left-hand side of the photograph. And there's a circle right here, a red circle. Did you do that during the proffer on this exhibit on November 18th, 2024?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so let's back up. As you walked, where were you when you saw the victim come out of that restaurant?
Can you back up?
Oh, okay.
I was by the UPS store.
So he just hanging around loitering.
Let me put on page.
I was
Yes,
walking.
on the left-hand side.
So I was walking along that pillar back toward the restaurant.
So you're walking from left to right in the photograph from the UPS store towards the flower restaurant. correct?
Yes.
Along here.
Yes.
And did you actually draw a green arrow or a line, I should say, during that proffer?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what did you see?
I saw the victim come out, walk towards his truck, and then
Come out of the fire and walk towards his truck where you circled?
he was parked in one of those spaces.
Did he appear to be carrying food?
Yes,
What happened next?
he got in his truck, and I walked past and kept moving.
How close did you ever get to the victim during this encounter?
Not very.
Did you stay within that breezeway over by the UPS store on your way towards him, or did you actually step out into the parking lot?
I stayed in the breezeway, and then I crossed to the restaurant. So I didn't get really very close to him.
You never made eye contact with the victim?
No, I did not.
No words were ever exchanged?
No, man,
And why did you change your mind?
because I'm not that person.
Oh, you are.
So at that point then, did the victim, Fabio, did you see him actually drive away?
Nope.
What did you do?
I kept walking to the back of the alley and got back in the car with Baker.
Did you go the same way that you'd gone before from the parking lot? Did you retrace your steps in the photograph, and this was page 4, from the building and the background of the building to where Baker was parked?
Yes,
He was still there waiting for you?
yes, in a different parking space.
And when you had described this parking lot, you originally
She's trying to act like
said,
she didn't know nothing about it.
Chinese restaurant, and this is before you saw any photos, and a nail salon. When you say Chinese restaurant, is that the restaurant you were referring to, the Fa?
Yes,
And then right down, about 2 doors down, there's a nail salon?
yes.
When you got back to the car then, what happened?
I told him I couldn't do it. He asked what happened. I told him I couldn't do it. I was like, can't be done.
What did he say to you?
He said, it's all right. I'll let her know.
And who was her?
The defendant.
Act like his back hurt from that
Did
prison.
he tell you what he was going to do when you said I couldn't do it? What did he say?
He says, all right, don't worry about it. I'll let her know.
Did he say who he meant or who he was referring to as her,
His girlfriend at the time.
which was the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see him text on his phone while you were sitting in that back parking lot?
As we drove away.
Sorry, what was that?
As we drove away.
Did he make any calls in your presence?
No, ma'am.
Do you know who he was texting?
I had an idea
Well, how did you have an idea?
because
What's his name?
from
Did he tell you who he was texting?
I had an idea who he was texting. He said the defendant. I'll let her know. That's the only person he had been talking to most of that time.
Didn't I?
Did you drive directly back to Baker's apartment then?
Yes.
Okay. And during that, after he said he would text her and let her know, did you have any more conversations about this, what had just occurred?
No, I didn't.
How are you feeling at this point?
Stupid, lame, like a sucker, cowardly, faint of
Shamed
heart.
and relieved. In my mind, I was like, okay, this isn't going down. We're gonna get some food later tomorrow. We're gonna just kick it for the rest of the day. Tomorrow, can't happen. Not doing it. He can get somebody else to do it, if at all. That's what I was thinking.
Did you think, as far as your role and what they'd asked you to do, that it was over now?
Yes.
Did you tell Baker during that conversation, like, I'm not going to do it ever?
No,
I don't remember saying that.
you didn't.
Did he tell you if he was going to meet with her or talk to her, meaning the defendant directly?
No.
The rest of that night then, did you see, well, let me ask you this. The rest of that night then, did you hang out with Baker? Was he with you?
Yeah.
Was he texting?
Periodically, yes.
And you mentioned this earlier, though, during this time frame, did he have any other women that you knew that he was involved with during this whole period, late 2016
Right.
into January 2017, other than the defendant?
No.
All right.
No.
That particular day on the 22nd, do you know if he was communicating with the defendant throughout the entire day of January 22nd, 2017?
Do I know?
Do you know if he was communicating with her throughout the whole day?
He's so lame. He'll bust him.
Roll.
Based on the conversation of going to the store, I had figured out that he had been texting her most of the day.
Okay.
Stricken.
Now, the rest of the night.
I'm trying to get through this night.
Anything happened the rest of that night?
I watched TV and went to sleep.
Okay.
That what you
Did
stayed
ever see
doing?
Baker leave the apartment?
No, I did not.
Do you know if he left?
Not until the morning time.
I guess my question is, do you know if he left that night?
No, I do not.
Now, the morning of January 23rd, 2000.
Pause. Okay, you guys. So this has been an excellent trial watch, okay, for the daytime version. Now I want to get through his testimony. We're gonna stop right here. I've been here 3 hours, and I gotta come back tonight for night court. For the state of Georgia versus Miles Bryant, the police officer turned bad. That's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But this is an excellent stopping place. Like I figured his testimony would be interesting. I didn't know that he was going to work my nerves, but he did. Hey, Sticks girl. This is a lesson. You know, I'm always looking for what's the lesson in this. The lesson is always, it seems, teach your kids not to be peer pressured, not to be flunkies, not to be suckers, not to be mindless, and also I'm learning that you got to watch who you even let mentor or be a big brother figure or what have you, or have any type of influence. Sticks, hope you're doing good. I'm ever say he's playing a game but wanted to get those cheeks beat before it happened. I got to be more careful before I read something. Okay, so Renee, I know you might be up in the cloud, but I think I might have to come back and finish this tomorrow before we can go back to the Ellen's part, because I got too many people that were listening here. So thank y'all for joining. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. We will finish this testimony. And we're going to get at his testimony during the day. We got a lot of stuff going on, so you never know what's in store for the daytime court, okay? You never know what's going to be on the docket. Period, point blank. I'm going to call it the freestyle docket for my daytime lives. And at night is night court, okay? All right. Y'all be blessed. Don't be stressed. You can handle all the rest. Make sure you double tap that screen. Hit the subscribe. Hit the notification. And make sure you tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Meet me here back tomorrow for Freestyle Docket. That's the new name. Blue. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.